I'm going to show you here how you can create all of these content formats: blog posts, long form video, short video, podcast, articles, social post, infographics, even a flip book in literally a matter of minutes, and then publish it across hundreds of sites, right? Social media sites, podcast sites like Apple Podcasts, Vimeo, right? Document sharing sites like SlideShare, Pinterest for images, and so on, literally hundreds of sites, so that you can get more organic traffic. Hey, I'm Chris Munch, founder of AmpiFire, and I help businesses drive organic traffic from search, social, video, and more so that you can make more sales. So let's jump in. The first thing you'll do is go in and click on amps inside of the AmpiFire interface, and you're going to go and hit create amp. And when you hit create an amp, it's going to ask you to choose a category. Okay, don't overthink it, right? But just pick a category which relates to your business, and then pick a company. Okay, it's as simple as that. And then you're going to go ahead and just hit generate amp. If you don't have your company, you're just going to click add and fill in the information. So we'll jump in here and hit generate. And then the first thing it's going to do is ask you for a little bit of information, okay, on what you're going to publish. So it's looking for a topic, the page you want to promote, the service offering, some context of kind of what you're going to be talking about, okay, and then some source information, okay, so where you would like to pull the information from, the data, the insights, the opinions, okay, and you can provide a couple of sources here, and this is very, very flexible with the type of information that you can provide here, okay, which is covered in deeper training, okay, and then once you filled all this in, like I have here, okay, so we've got a nice piece of content here on social media cost versus content, okay, and we're just going to go ahead and hit generate news article. And so after just a few seconds or a couple of minutes, we then have all of our content now created, okay? And so we have the average social media cost here, the entire news article ready to go out on news sites following the format that's required for these news sites, okay? And while this is creating, we can also work on the blog post. This is ready already, but should we be waiting, we can move straight on over to the blog post, and it's the same situation here. We click on the blog post, and this information then is used again here, and should we want to change anything, we can do. We can adjust the headline, things like this, okay? And the first thing we're going to do is hit generate outline. And so this can take a little bit of time because the platform is going out and it's looking and scouring the internet for information. It's doing a lot of fact checking. It's trying to understand what is going to make the best article on the subject, okay, and also going through your source files, its own knowledge base, and just a number of processes on what it takes to write a great piece of content, and then it creates the outline. And so here we have our outline, okay, so we have subsections, okay, and then these heading 3 tags in here. And so this is really well laid out with lists with important relevant information. You can delete and remove as needed here. Usually it might have a little bit extra. You can also add in sections here that you would also want. And once you're happy, okay, you just hit generate content. Okay, and the whole process, it can take a little while because it's doing so much research and so much thinking and doing several different steps from our proprietary system of how to create this content in the best way which works and get results. Okay, so there's limited options here simply because this process works really well. And so when we're happy with this, we go ahead and hit generate content. And so now it will take a little bit of time while the content is being created. And of course you can move on to the podcast. Okay, and so you can just open up the podcast in the next window to continue through while you're waiting for anything to be produced. But you can see here now that this has produced an amazing detailed piece of content here, right? Incredible detail that it's gone through here from our source materials. This is excellent, really useful information for the audience that we're targeting with our site. And again, you know, you would do the same here for your own site, your own industry. And of course, the topics that you choose here is really, really important. Okay, and we have a lot of helpful information, okay, across our training to help you with that. Okay, and so with this done, we can do a couple of things. We can go ahead and we can publish this to our own website. Okay, we can take any of this content and publish it anywhere. Okay, but I can then also continue through and move on to the podcast. Okay, but let's just have a look here at what this looks like on our website. Okay, so here is the content here on our website with a few little slight edits. Okay, just as we feel is needed. And so then we've got this nice incredible piece of content which we've copied over and posted on our website. And of course you can do this with any content that you create. You can go post it anywhere you want, but remember, we also post all of this stuff on your behalf when you decide to, you can go ahead and hit publish and publish this across hundreds of websites. Okay, but let's have a look at the podcast here. So again, it's using the same information. And so the new information which you need to put in here is you choose the style. I always recommend interview, and then you give the speakers a couple of topics to talk about. That's it. Again, just literally seconds to fill this in. And when done, you're just going to go ahead here and click to generate the transcript. And it's going to go ahead and then actually write the entire podcast script and then create the entire podcast, okay, with two people speaking. So this can take a little while to do. Okay, and so again, as this has been done, you can move on to the slideshow. But let's take a look here now what has been produced with the podcast. Okay, and so we can see the script here, and rather than read it all through, okay, what I like to do is just go straight through, pick the voices, make sure I've got the ones that I want, and then just immediately go ahead and review and hit the review button to review this content, and then it will take a little while for the podcast to generate. You can work on the other modules while this is happening, and then once it's all done, you can come back here and have a listen. Okay, so let's have a look while that's happening at the slideshow. So the first thing on the slideshow here, it's already produced the content. That happens quite quickly. It's asking here for a search phrase for the video. You might find in time that this is no longer here. That just means that the system is just handling all of this stuff itself. Okay, but in this one here, we would just say take social media, as that's one of the key things that the video is about, and hit return. And that's going to go off and be finding some imagery now for us for the video while we're reviewing here the slideshow. And we can see here again, it's laid out the individual slides here and created useful information and pictures. And should any of the things not quite make sense, okay, right? So any image that you don't think quite fits, then you can just go ahead and change out any of the images here. So I don't like this one so much. And so I'm just gonna, this scene was about Facebook. So I will just swap it out with an image for Facebook. Okay. Or this one right here looks great. And then we swapped out the image. Okay. And so over time, of course, the image selection, everything else is just going to get better and better over time. Okay. So it'll need fewer and fewer edits. You can also change the color scheme, change the template and these sort of things if you want to. Don't recommend messing around too much with those things, but more important, review the content, review the images, and then move on over to the infographic. Okay, so here's the infographic, very, very similar in style to the slideshow, okay, except this is now, rather than a flip book, it's a vertical infographic here. And again, you can go in and you can change any images that you might want to here. Okay, so I think this scene was, it said it was for financial services. Okay, so I could, for example, use this image right here. Okay, or generate an AI image, however I might want to. Okay, and then, we are good to go with this one. And so any edits that you want to do, just take the time to go through and do that. And so now we'll go ahead and hit the video, and the video will be being produced. Okay, and again, that just takes a few seconds just to produce this video, and then we can come through, edit, review, and everything else. Okay, so here it is up on screen here, and you can see already we can, again, look through it, through the various scenes in this video and make any changes that we might want to here. And so, for example, if we don't like this video right here, okay, then we can just change it to something that we might like, okay, leveraging the library here, okay, or potentially, even using AI video as that becomes available, okay. And so here we have a landscape version and a portrait version, okay. And so essentially the video here designed for different platforms. And of course, you can turn the landscape one very, very soon into a longer form video, or produce a longer form video that's about 3 to 10 minutes long. And this one here is the reel, which will go on to say Instagram, YouTube Shorts. And you can go down and test the voice here and see if it's the voice that you want. You can do the same in the podcast module. So you can have a little listen.
With cloud machine learning, your application interprets images, text.
And if you're not happy with the voice, you could switch it over to something else.
With cloud machine learning, your application interprets images, text, and so much more.
And once you are happy, then you would just hit on the review tab, and then it's going to generate the video. And while it's generating the video, let's go back and have a look at the podcast. But here, everything is ready now and everything is done, and we can actually just hit submit to publish this. So let's have a quick listen just briefly to the podcast, just for a few seconds.
Hey everyone! Before we get into today's fascinating topic about social media lead costs, I'll share something that might surprise you. Did you know that in 2025, some companies are paying over $700 per lead on social media? That's like buying a new smartphone just to get one potential customer.
All right. So a really nice opening hook right there. And of course, if you're interested in this sort of thing, getting these numbers, getting this info would be something, I for sure would be listening to, right? As this is the sort of thing that I'm into. But we've got a great news article now. We've got a great blog post now, which we can publish all across blogs across the internet when we just hit go to publish. We've got a great podcast now here. We've got a slideshow, a flipbook here to be shared on various sites like SlideShare. We've got the infographic to essentially go on sites like Pinterest. Okay, and we've got the video to go on video sites like YouTube. So let's have a quick look at this video as the last thing which we've got here.
In 2025, social media lead generation costs show significant variation by platform and industry, with paid advertising on Facebook averaging $5.83, $21.98 per lead, and LinkedIn. Financial services face the highest lead costs overall, with paid at $761 and organic at $555. Using both paid ads and organic content yields the best ROI in 2025. Platforms mature and competition intensifies, emphasizing the importance of understanding the true cost per lead across channels. Facebook dominates as the most cost-effective. YouTube offers educational content opportunities at a CPL of $10-$20. Overall, the best ocean is comminging organic leads, which get much cheaper over time, with short-term paid ads.
All right, so there we go. And of course, if you want to edit that further, you can, of course, do that. And when you're ready, you just go ahead and hit go to publish, where you can review the various distribution options. Okay, if you want to choose additional places to publish to, okay, make sure you've read here the rules that essentially when you publish and you hit this publish button, it's out there on the internet. Okay, so make sure you're ready to publish, because once it's out, it's out there for the world to see. Okay, and there you go. You hit publish, and then AmpiFire will work in the background, then going through the entire process to publish this then to all of the places. Okay, and so some of this will happen quite quickly. Some of this has to go through editorial, where there's these various sites checking the content before they publish it. Okay, but within a few days, you're going to have all of this content then across hundreds of sites, okay, including your own socials if you connected those up. All right, and that's all there is to it. The content you can create with Ampcast AI inside of AmpiFire is incredibly effective at growing your traffic, especially when you publish this across hundreds of sites, as you can do with the AmpiFire platform. Now, you will probably then want to make the absolute most out of this, and that means that, of course, the more that you learn, the better at this that you get, the bigger results that you're going to have. One of the best things that you can work on is choosing the most effective topics that will actually bring you sales, results, grow your traffic, all the stuff which you're looking for. And the best way to do that is to follow our free course on how best to use Ampcast AI, how to choose topics so that you can get more traffic.